first thing you need to know is if you are placed under arrest as a matter of law, the arresting agency has 72 hours in which they can hold you to get a warrant. So they don't have to let you out in 24 hours. They got 72 as a matter of law. You don't know a lawyer who's going to come down there and try to rescue you? And I did say try. Make yourself comfortable. First process, if they get the warrant, is going to be what we call arraignment on the warrant. That's when you're told for the first time what the prosecutor's office has decided are the offenses for which you are being charged. We do not, as a state, law, court system, do grand juries. Every now and then in a special case, it's a very rare process, arraignment on the warrant. When you are arraigned on the warrant, that will be the first opportunity you will have to have a bail set. Bail will be determined based on a lot of factors. Two primary ones are you a threat to society? So we're going to look at the offense for which you are alleged to have committed and therefore facing arrest and charges. We're going to look at what your prior contacts may be, including juvenile contacts. And what is the likelihood that you're going to return to court? Have you got a capious history? Did you miss a date that you were supposed to come pay a ticket and you didn't get to court? You may not come back to court for this one either. You can get a bond that requires 10%. You can get a cash surety bond, which means somebody got to put up a house. 100% cash bonds are not legally possible, but you can, under certain offenses, get no bond at all. And in capital offenses for which you face possibility of life in prison, we can set no bond or $1 million plus. Welcome to the courthouse. We now have a new process. We call that a pre-exam hearing. At the pre-exam hearing, that will be the first time, if you get lucky, there will be a lawyer there. Generally, by that stage of the game, the lawyer is supposed to have whatever evidence that the prosecutor may have, what witnesses they may call. But of course, they haven't had time enough to go talk to your witnesses or to see your evidence, especially if you're still in jail because you didn't make bond. At that stage of the proceedings, that may get your first offer to plead to a reduced charge. Lawyer doesn't know enough about the case. Lawyer doesn't know if they're going to be committing malpractice if they tell you to take the plea. Unless it's a fantastic offer, or you just know I'm guilty, so I'm going to do it, it doesn't matter. That's the pre-exam. That's your second trip to the courthouse. Then we have what we call the preliminary examination. At the preliminary examination, you should have a lawyer. Court appointed if you can't afford to buy one. Hire one. At that stage, the prosecutor, the state, produces evidence to show that probable cause exists. Probable cause means it's probable, more likely than not, that a crime was committed, and it's probable, more likely than not, you committed it. Prosecutor can call witnesses, have introduced of evidence. The attorney can cross-examine, the defense attorney can cross-examine the witnesses. Under the car cases now, the owner of the car no longer has to appear. The arresting officer who discovered that the plates were not assigned to the right car, the car had been reported stolen, that's sufficient. At the preliminary examination, in some jurisdiction, you may get another offer to plead to a reduced charge. In Wayne County, the general practice is the more the proceedings you attend, the less favorable they offer. I can't give you the rationale. Maybe because they've had a better opportunity as time goes by to evaluate the case. They know which witnesses are going to appear and which ones are not. They've had more evidence to come in. That's the general policy. All of those proceedings take place in the district court, which is usually your city court. After you leave the preliminary examination and you have been bound over, you will go to the circuit court. That's where I am. Yeah, that's where the big boys play. In the state of Michigan, you need to understand that age 17, you are automatically charged as an adult. You have to be 18 to vote, 21 to buy liquor and cigarettes, but at 17, you are automatically charged as an adult in the state of Michigan. The prosecutor has the discretion to charge anyone at any age as an adult and prosecute as an adult. There is no minimum age limit. And if the prosecutor chooses to charge and prosecute as an adult, there is nothing your lawyer, your mama, or the judge can do anything about it. There is no discretion on that call outside of the prosecutor's office. Know it, understand it. When you get over to the circuit court, we have what we call an arraignment on the information. How many times you been to court now? How many times your mama had to leave work? How many times the attorney had to show up and you want to know why they're charging so much money? How many days have you missed from school? We're not even halfway through the process. Welcome to the courthouse. At the arraignment on the information, if there's been any change in charges as a result of what occurred at the preliminary examination, you are informed of the new charges, the total charges, the charges for which you are facing, at least one of which, if not all, are felonies. Felonies are any offense for which you can be imprisoned for more than 1 year. You may get another offer. Once you leave the arraignment on the information, we have what we call a calendar conference. By that stage, your attorney should have all of the discovery. Your attorney should have met with you, talked with you, met with your witnesses, talked with your witnesses, might have even gone out to the scene of the alleged crime. We will give them a scheduling date. We will let them know if you have some motions you want to bring, unconstitutional stop, unconstitutional search. The confession was not voluntary. No way. You want to bring a motion? We give them a date. They argue the motion at what we call now the final conference. Because at the final conference, when they get finished making all the motions and the judge is going to rule on what motions are successful, which ones are not, which evidence is coming in, which evidence is not coming in, we give them a trial date. At the final conference, you may still get an offer. You don't have to take them at any stage. You are entitled to a trial. Speaking of which, the law on that has changed as well. It is not the defendant who decides whether or not they're going to have a trial by judge or by jury. That was the old Constitution. Under the way it's interpreted now, the government brings the charges. The government proves the charges. And it's the government that decides who will decide whether or not the charges have been proven, whether or not that decider of fact will be the judge or jury. You're just along for the ride. Welcome to the courthouse. When you go into trial, depending upon how many witnesses, closing arguments, or opening statements, closing arguments, hear the case, jury deliberates, they come back with a verdict. They may find you guilty on all the charges, some of the charges, not guilty. If you are found guilty, now you come back for sentencing. How many times have you been down to the courthouse? How many sleepless nights did your mama have? How many times did your grandmother's blood pressure go up? How many extra days of overtime did your daddy have to do to get some money to pay the lawyer? What if you needed experts and all the experts had to be paid too? Did somebody take out a mortgage on the house to pay for the experts? The object is to avoid police contact, to fade into the crowd, to not be at the courthouse in the first place. Sentencing. Under Michigan law, your major offenses all of those, your capital offenses, life, we have life without parole. Carjacking is a life offense. It's cold outside. You didn't want to walk. The car was just sitting there. The keys were in it. The little old lady went into the gas station. She didn't have to take the keys with her. You jumped in. She came running out. Y'all tussled over the door. You won. You took off. She fell in the snow. Carjacking, life offense. Robbery, life offense. You don't have to have a real gun. You can put your finger in your pocket and do just like this, and somebody thinks you got a gun, thinks you got a knife. Robbery, life offense. I just thought you'd like to know. For those offenses that are not considered capital offenses, there's a cap at the top. It could be maximum of 20 years. It could be a maximum of 15 years. It could be a maximum of 5 years. If I give you minimum of 1 and the law says the maximum is 5, I got no discretion. It's 1 to 5. If I give you a minimum of 3 and the maximum is 10, I got no discretion. It's 3 to 10. If I give you a minimum of 8 and the maximum is 20, I got no discretion. It's 8 to 20. How you get the minimum? We have what we call guidelines. It's a grid. On one side, what the prior record looked like. Got any juvenile contacts? Got any misdemeanors? Some prior felonies? You get points. On the other side, but what was the crime about? Was it an assault of offense? Did they just steal some property? Nobody was there to get hurt? Was it with 2 or 3 other people? Was it a senior citizen? Did they beat up a child? You get points. Were you a gang leader or just a follower? You get points. The more points you get, the more time you get. Then we go on the grid. And we go across and we go up and we find out the magic numbers. And I can sentence you somewhere between that lower range of the magic numbers. But guess what? If I don't think the magic numbers are low or high enough for the low sentence, I can go higher. I'm the judge. He didn't show any remorse. She doesn't seem like she's going to be rehabilitated. This was a horrendous offense. All I got to do is state my reasons. I can give you a higher minimum. I'm capped at the maximum, but I can give you a higher minimum. Welcome to the courthouse. You might get probation. I can give you probation up to 5 years. I got control over your life for 5 years. When I say jump, you jump, and then you ask me how high. Because you on paper to me. I tell you to report once a week, you report once a week. I tell you you're going to be tested for drugs every day, you get tested every day. I tell you got to do 200 hours of volunteer service, you got to do 200 hours of volunteer service. I tell you got to get a GED. Oh, can't find a GED program on the outside? No problem. I got GED program on the inside. I'm willing to work with you. Any way you want to do it, it's fine with me. Welcome to the courthouse. You didn't want to come down here in the first place. That's why the goal, the object, is to fade in. Avoid those people that you know haven't got sense enough not to act a fool to get some attention. Because you don't want the attention. Because you don't want to do the time. Become part of the crowd. Don't stand out. And if you get stopped, show respect. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Can't do that? All right, officer. officer works for either one. It works every time. Don't run. Don't even pretend you're gonna fight. You can get charged with a felony for pretending you were gonna fight the police. Make it seem real. They got a felony for that. Cooperate in your structure. You don't have to talk. But if you're gonna remain silent, I'm gonna remain silent. Say it more than once. You want a lawyer? I want a lawyer. Say it more than once. But by the time you get to the courthouse, only thing your mama can do for you is try to raise some bail money and see if they can get you a lawyer. Because by the time you come down to see me in the black robe, you have lost the control. Love you. Stay out of trouble.